Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy S here, back at you with part two of this video, which initially I made with the intention of trying to share it with the Festival of Dyslexic Culture, but I suppose I've decided to expand it to other dyslexic groups and neurodivergent people generally as well. So basically, anyone who has anything to do with neurodiversity or neurodivergence, which I love the term neurodivergence. I also love the term neurodiversity, but especially neurodivergence even more for some reason. It feels like a superpower, that word, but or to me it sounds like a superpower. But anyway, sorry, I'm waffling. I do apologise. But yeah, in this one, I thought I'd talk about some of my dreams. Thought I'd go for a walk to try and think of some ideas. But I thought I'd talk about some of my dreams generally and what I wanted to achieve in October and what I'm hoping to achieve in November. So I thought, as it's November, I thought I'd include neurodiversity more generally. So neurodiverse November. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it. And as ever, I'd love to hear what you think about each point, or any ideas you have, and that kind of thing. And hopefully these videos will brighten some people's day, or just help the world to be a better place, just generally, all being well. Well, that's the intention anyway. Michael, talking to myself in the third person. But anyway, so here goes. Obviously, these are ideas number 11. So these are some of my dreams, the family-friendly version, I'll say, for neurodivergent people, including myself, some of my own personal dreams and my dreams for the neurodivergent community. So as I say, I hope you enjoy. So here goes. So number 11, I hoped to have put together in October, really, if I could have done my time again, so to speak. If I could have done October again, or had my chance all over again, I would have started off on a better note and be more active from like the first few days in October. I did try and reach out to people like Kate Griggs, the founder of Made by Dyslexia, and also even the Dyslexic Advantage and others. But unfortunately, I didn't get a reply, so I assume they're busy. So hopefully they weren't ignoring me. But I did try and share these videos, which I hope people will understand. But anyway, but I'd love to put together a group of neurodivergent or neurodiverse, whichever term you prefer to use, people, including people with dyslexia, ADHD, and any related conditions, dyspraxia, autism, and whatnot, and get as many of them together as possible. So that, and then I'd love for us to work on many projects, and I'd love to have supported dyslexic inventors. But anyway, for November and possibly beyond, or as soon as possible, I hope to. I suppose all my ideas will have to be ASAP. I hope to work on supporting neurodiverse investors, ideas people, entrepreneurs, and whatnot. I'd love to look into ways we can be financially empowered. I suppose I'm thinking of for Friday. I suppose the main reason why I thought of the Festival of Dyslexic Culture is because it's a Friday as well, Festival Friday. But I hope we can work on many of these plans. Number 12, that includes like creating the M.K.S. neurodivergent or independent schools for people, special people like myself. So they would hopefully be funded by people who choose to fund them rather than by the state. So no one will be forced to pay taxes towards them or anything like that. They'd be like independently funded. So people with neurodiverse conditions or those interested in supporting neurodivergent people, and stroke all those who might get tax incentive, could invest in or support such schools. Again, there could be tax incentives or other such incentives. Maybe people who have neurodiverse conditions themselves, and stroke or family members who have such. Oftentimes, these conditions are genetic, so they run in families, obviously. But those who are interested could create our own sort of curriculum. Hopefully, I think that'd be pretty cool. And maybe neurodiverse people, hopefully, could be tax exempt, but we could spend our taxes on empowering future generations. So there could be different incentives to do so, like people with neurodiverse conditions who have money might think, when I get older, I'd love to have support from fellow neurodiverse people. So it's sort of an investment in the future. I think the youth are an investment in the future. So I could go on quite a lot about the independent schools, but maybe I'll cover that in another video. Another thing is I'd love for us to learn how to build businesses and invest together so we can be financially empowered. and have those investments. As I talked before about in October for dyslexic people specifically, I'd love for us to have those investments so that if we struggle to get, either if we can't get jobs, or if we lose our jobs, or if we're worried about losing our jobs, or we no longer enjoy our jobs, we don't enjoy our jobs in the first place. For those of us who have jobs, we could have that option to quit, because we'd have money, as I call it, potential FU money. That's if you don't like your job or your boss or something about your job, or your job just generally, or your colleagues or whatever. So I do go through every possibility, don't I? But yeah, for November, I'm thinking of neurodiverse people generally. So I'll say I'd love to put a group together that can network together and support each other on social media and different projects and things like that. So we would have those options. So we would have careers that hopefully we can enjoy and be happy with, which I think is the main thing. Number 13, from a selfish point of view, I'd love for us to travel to Italy and share ideas for town football, which I know I mentioned quite a lot. As neurodiverse people, I'd love for us to travel. I mean, I suppose I probably didn't think through too well, like how we would travel from different parts of the world, how we would be able to travel together. But maybe there's some place we can meet on the way and hopefully work with Italian politicians, Italian councillors, the Italian FA, FIGC, Serie A, and all those and all those involved in Italian football. I'd love to get my fellow neurodiverse people to get into football, and hopefully as many of them as possible to become Italian football fans. Number 14, also for Celtic. And another thing is, I'd love to use our strengths. Now, many dyslexic people are very good at problem solving. So one of the things people talk about when they talk about the positives of dyslexia. I'm not sure about other neurodiverse conditions, but it would be cool to see if we could work together to solve problems. A lot of things I think like we are stronger together, generally speaking. So a lot of problems could be solved if we work together, hopefully, like with the independent schools, learn to invest together and also solve problems for ourselves and for other people. For instance, if we could work together on solving climate change, climate disasters, global warming, poverty, wars, and all sorts of problems that are facing the world, if we could work together to solve those problems, I think it would be pretty cool. As I mentioned in part one, it'd be quite ironic as well, because it's normally seen as a disability or weakness, being dyslexic or having another neurodiverse condition. But hopefully we can show there are many positive things which many organisations like Made by Dyslexia and the Dyslexic Advantage are working on. Number 15, on that note, one of the things I was thinking about is that how Made by Dyslexia and the Dyslexic Advantage and others, maybe even some organisations that work with autism and dyspraxia and other conditions, ADHD and whatnot, other neurodiverse conditions, they talk about the positives of such conditions. Maybe there could be the autistic advantage and Made by Autism, and similar for ADHD and dyspraxia even, which could learn from Made by Dyslexia and the Dyslexic Advantage, so they could learn from each other and again like network. So if we come together, hopefully we can support each other's projects and work together as one. As I say, hashtag stronger together. And again, like my thesis is, I have to say I have to pronounce that word correctly because of my struggles with pronunciation or whatever. But my thesis is to show that we have positive things to contribute, as I say, to Italian football, Celtic, politics, libertarianism, support people from former colonies, and tackling poverty and things like that. And so I'd love to work, as I say, with my fellow neurodiverse people, including obviously dyslexics and individuals and organisations, associations and whatnot, to showcase what we can do for those sorts of things. And again, working with the Italian football and Celtic, and looking at how they can work together and how we could work with them to improve them, but also help them to fundraise for good causes and things like that. So showcasing what we can do, our strengths. Basically, I'm looking at neurodiversity, including dyslexia, as I say, as a positive. So what we can contribute to these sorts of things. As a fan of Italian football and Celtic, I hope to combine those things together. So I hope that will make sense. Number 16, I'd love to discuss what are the best possible ways to support and empower neurodiverse people. And I hope to hear from other people, read your comments about suggestions of how to help neurodivergent people, and how we can help each other and the rest of the world, as I say. I'd love to interview neurodivergent people, including dyslexics and people with ADHD and other related conditions, dyspraxia, for instance, autism, obviously, and that kind of thing. I suppose those are the main neurodiverse conditions I can think of, if they're not they're probably the only neurodiverse conditions, but there might be some other related conditions I haven't thought of or heard of. Oh, dyscalculia is another one, difficulty with maths. But I'd love to interview individuals with such conditions, and sometimes have Zoom groups, including, as I say, how we can help people from Africa and Asia and things like that. Number 17. On that note, there has been the I was going to say global giving, sorry, but there has been events in America by the Dyslexic Advantage, and also by Made by Dyslexia. There's been like the global dyslexia conferences and things like that, or events. And I think it'd be pretty cool to see those sorts of things across Africa and Australasia, and Asia, I beg your pardon, and even South America and Ireland, and places like that, like former colonies. And I'd love to, for politicians and decision makers, policy makers from those nations, to see the positive strengths of dyslexia and related conditions. Like see the videos on YouTube and the stuff on Google, talking about what dyslexic people have contributed to the rest of the world. Sorry, to the world, and what we can contribute. So I'm not doing very well explaining it, but I think it'd be pretty cool to imagine going to have conferences. So basically, to put it as simply as possible, I would love for us to have conferences in Italy to talk about what we can contribute to town football, conferences in Glasgow or around the world to showcase what we can do for Celtic FC, and also conferences in developing nations and former colonies. So I hope that politicians in those countries, I think they might be a bit closed-minded to such, but hopefully if they see the videos of what we have achieved and they see the statistics, they'll think maybe we're missing out on some potential talent that thinks differently. So hopefully they'll find out by the work that Richard Branson and other people have been doing with Made by Dyslexia, which talks about like the value of dyslexia and dyslexic thinking as a positive thing, and how the world needs more dyslexic thinkers, as Richard Branson himself put it, and Made by Dyslexia talk about. And hopefully they'll see that by supporting dyslexic people, they can help, that dyslexic people can become good entrepreneurs and things like that. And similar for related neurodiverse conditions. Again, hope that made sense. Number 18, I hope people in the future will see positive things I'll say about neurodiversity. If I'm talking about my dream generally, I hope that young people with neurodiverse conditions can be encouraged, and that people see positives of thinking differently, and there's a value in something that's rare, not so common, and things like that. So hopefully, people see positives about dyslexia and ADHD and autism. And I think that's already starting to happen, but I hope it will continue to happen, and more people will find out about such things, including, as I say, in developing nations. I hope, for instance, neurodiverse people in parts of Africa can be empowered in tech to make games, and just generally be empowered through tech, and hopefully get treated better, and also be able to contribute to their country across Africa. Similar for Asia, again, Ireland and South American countries as they were colonized, or as their emerging market economies in the case of the latter. Number 19, it'd be cool to see Africans with dyslexia, autism, ADHD and related neurodiverse conditions making tech games, making their own websites where they have games on them and things like that, which I'd love for people from Africa to do generally, but especially those with neurodiverse conditions, I hope will be included. And number 20, again, I hope that that I can work with dyslexic organisations in Italy itself as well when it comes to football. I know I mentioned that quite a lot, but and hopefully dyslexics can be, and other neurodiverse people with ADHD and related conditions, can be welcomed through football. So if they don't do well academically, they can have another path where they can feel welcomed and part of society and part of something. So by playing football, and they can show that, hopefully some of them can show they can contribute. I mean, there's only so many who can become footballers, for instance, but maybe if they all have some sort of role to do with it, benefit the town football. And I'd love to fundraise for those sorts of things, so that they can be involved in football, and they can build many football pitches, and they can be involved in managing, coaching and things like that, so we can showcase what we can do for those sorts of things, including myself and others. But yeah, I think that covers everything for now. And if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to comment away. Hopefully it won't be too harsh, but constructive criticism is always welcome. And again, hope people with neurodiverse conditions and family members And those interested in neurodiversity and empowering people with neurodiversity will enjoy these videos and get involved in commenting. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. If you want to make your own versions of these videos to empower neurodiverse people, I welcome such, as long as it empowers neurodiverse people in this case. And as I say, I'm going to stop waffling. I'm out. Peace and love.